And the rest of the world. Coming to you from Bauhaus Studios in beautiful downtown Port Credit, it's the season finale of the Tom and Rick Show for Wednesday, December 23rd. Joining us tonight, local singer-songwriter and founder of the Bad Santa Toy Drive, Alexander Quayle, veteran recording industry executive Brian Heatherman, singer and bass player of the legendary Canadian band The Spoons, Sandy Horn, local photographer Judy Wilrich, and as always, not cooking with Carson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Tom Barlow and Rickford Van Dyke.
Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A momentous episode of the Tom and Rick Show today. Why, you ask? Because this is the end of season 1.
It is.
27 straight uninterrupted episodes, Rickford.
It's been a successful season.
Great. Game of Thrones is like 9 episodes.
Yeah, who are they? Game of Thrones.
27 consecutive shows.
They haven't worked as hard as we have. Not even close.
And we have learned a lot and continue to learn a lot. So we'd like to do some thank yous. First thank you goes to people who watch, because if people weren't watching, we'd be doing this, we wouldn't need all of this business.
We
could just talk to each other.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate all of you, the people that watch and support the artists that we try to support and support the businesses that we try to support.
Yeah.
So keep doing that, and thank you for watching our show.
And also, I'd like to let you know, people of the interweb, that you are a quality audience, because when artists come on here, they'll often say the next day, someone bought the CD, people were downloading the song. So thank you for being a fantastic audience that cares about arts and supports the arts. Now, we have to do some thank yous to our sponsors. We'd like to thank Frank from Brightwater, which is right across the street. They sponsored the show. Shore, of course, has been here since day one.
Since day one.
Our first sponsor. Thank you very much to everyone at Shore, the great staff. We've had Satis on here. We've had Maureen a couple of times.
And Paul for the trunk shots.
Paul, yes.
During the first pandemic, we used to go out there, get our food, and then Paul would have a nice trunk shot for you.
We would like to thank the BIA. Jake Pedler has been so important to connecting us to local businesses so that we could promote them. So thank you, Jake, and everyone at the BIA. Stephen Dasco, thank you for doing what you did so that we could continue shooting the show. And everyone at the Mississauga Arts Council, Mike Douglas, thank you. He helps us get guests and connects us with what's going on there with programs they have for artists. And we really have to give a huge thank you to the volunteers on the show. So thanks to Les Weller, who runs kind of a little bit of everything here. Mark, who produces the video. Neil, who does the lighting and the photography elements. Deb, who does the slate and who is the studio manager. Kristen Prince, who does all of the social media. And of course, Carson for Cooking with Carson. So thanks to all you guys. I'd like to also let you know that the cups are sold out.
Sold out.
And because it's Christmas and COVID and all that, we could not keep up with demand. Thank you everyone who said, I'll take 5 cups, I'll take 10 cups.
Yeah,
if we were in the cup business, we'd be killing it.
We appreciate that very much. And Mayor Crombie, special shout out for just
the mayor comes on.
The mayor, whether your political views don't really matter, but what I know about her, she does care about our community and she cares about our businesses, and she comes on here. She doesn't have to. She can do it on Pulse 24, people.
Yeah.
She comes on our little show and with Stephen and gives you some kind of guidance or some kind of information that you might not have heard. So thank you very much to them.
Right. We did track down another bottle of this Howitzer. So we thank... I forgot his name right now. Chris Gormley.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chris Gormley, for that.
I have Jack Daniels.
This is the mulled wine from Spice. I'm having it Christmas Eve. Thanks, Spice. They've got their boxes, their Christmas boxes. I think they have a few left. So check out Spice
order those
for
if
that.
You can.
And as I said, we are taking a few weeks off. We really don't know how we're going to do the show in the new year because the rules are constantly changing.
Yep.
Lockdown is changing. And our priority is to keep ourselves and our crew safe. So as soon as we know how we're going to do this in the new year, we will let you know. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great pleasure to work with this guy.
And a great pleasure to work with this guy.
It was in April. I came down my stairs and said, we should do a TV show.
Yeah, and I was coming up the stairs and I said, sure.
And that was it. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. Sometimes we still don't. But here we are, 27 episodes later. Thank you very much for your support.
Yeah.
And we will see you all in the new year. It will be a better year.
Yes.
See you later.
Cheers, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, geez, I missed that. Well, my friends, we forgot a couple of important announcements. First of all, we'd like to thank Bob and Steve at UR Labs. They are a major sponsor of the show now, and they support all the artists that appear on the show. So thank you very much for your weekly support to put some money in the pockets of artists who often don't have another gig that week or maybe that month. So cheers to you guys. And also, I just got a note here from Louis from Cabin. He's doing a really neat initiative where he's got gift bags and gift cards. If you have a friend, if you know someone who is in need, who is financially struggling right now, and maybe they're not comfortable reaching out, you can go to Cabin, say to Louis, I got someone in mind who could really use this haircut or really use this gift card, and no questions asked, Louis will give you that, and then please give that to a person you know who's in need. That's it. Merry Christmas, my friends, and enjoy the show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a treat for you this evening. We have a fantastically talented, interesting person who is with us today. She is a founding member and lead singer and bass player of The Spoons.
Excellent.
Who played on the roof this summer. What a great show that was.
Great show, great day.
They were and are a cutting edge new wave band. In fact, one of the first bands to ever have a top 10 hit with a drum machine. Massive hits such as Romantic Traffic, Old Emotions, and Tell No Lies. Their new album is called New Day World. Please, let's have a big round of applause for Sandy Horn. Thanks for being with us today, Sandy. How are you doing?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Things look festive there.
I haven't seen you since July 1st on your roof.
What a great show you guys put on. It was so fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And we did it so stealthily. It was great. So catch us up on what you've been up to, because I know you guys have been doing shows. You're doing really creative, distant shows on boats and all that. What's been going on in your world?
Yeah, so trying to be creative, trying to get out of the box of the norm of what we expect for concerts. For mental health, we went down the Trent Canal system on just Gordon and I as a duo, down the Lock 39, I believe, in Bob Cajun.
Nice.
Playing along the river side. We went to went to an old age home and kind of docked, and they were kind of in the distance.
Beautiful.
And believe it or not, these older folks know our music. I was like, what? They know our music.
Because a great song is a great song for everyone.
I mean, you guys were on the radio all the time. You know, I mean, Nova Heart, I heard on Q107 all the time. I could play that song right now, no problem. You know, so
it's in there.
It's very much a hit.
Your music has penetrated the national psyche.
Totally.
How exciting is that?
Yeah. So and then we also did an island, raising money for Ronald McDonald House, where we played on an island dock, and the boats all came in to us. That was a lot of fun.
Wow.
That sounds like a great gig.
Well, that's a thing about what you guys did this summer. It was like you really, I think, the only band that I know of that really just, you know, turned and went, we're going to do this.
Right. How come we figured this out?
I didn't know anybody else that figured it out. You guys figured it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
and we also put two videos out as for frontline workers and just saying hello to everybody. So New Day, New World, the title track from the new album. We had a lot of interesting celebrities put up signs, like, for example, Alan Frew was "Don't forget me while I'm home," you know, kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun. And what else we did? We did a golf course outside in the big patio, and then we've been doing live stream shows from theaters to 50 people, and then the rest to live everybody out in the audience there. So we've done 2 theaters that way as well.
Right. Now, I know you guys have a Christmas special coming out Christmas Eve, so just a couple of days from now. What can people expect from that, and where can they find it?
Well, it's going to be on our YouTube page, and it'll get posted on Facebook, so you can share from that. And it's approximately 45 minutes long. And we've got special guests from Gowan, Carla Collins, the comedian, Wang Chung. Who else have we got? Oh, we've got Michael Williams, Larry Gowan. They all make a little guest appearance, so it's a lot of fun. We had a great time putting it together. I've had Christmas in my living room for a very long time.
And I suppose you just got it finished under the wire because the new lockdown came, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the scary. This is just ridiculous these times. I just can't wait for next year and hopefully a clearing.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll all be able to do what we do because, as you just said, you're finding ways to do what you do in ways you don't usually do it.
That's right.
But let's face it, we'd prefer to be out in front of dozens or thousands or tens of thousands of people doing it.
Totally.
Now,
so we're calling it the Spoons Christmas Special. So look for it on Facebook. And also coming out in March, probably-ish, we're going to have finally we're able to put together all of our Spoons collectibles. When I say that is we put one out in 95 that had everything from our first record label, which was Ready Records. But then when we went to Anthem Records, we couldn't release Bridges Over Borders and Vertigo Tango. They held it in their vault or whatever they do.
Record
we just finally got permission
to
be able to use those songs a little bit. Finally be able to put a whole collaboration of the Spoon stuff together. And we're putting that out in March-ish. And it's called Repeatable.
Well, that's a great name for a greatest hits album, Repeatable. Yep. Now, I know that you also have a passionate interest in Indigenous culture and the music of First Nations. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is and how you came to discover this passion?
Well, it's kind of been with me since I was a child. I used to have strange dreams, as I called them, with the Hanu masks coming and meeting my face, and I was always interested in the powwows. And eventually I started to meet people in the Indigenous community, and for the last 17 years I've been working with a West Coast Tsimshian elder who now lives, and the proper pronunciation is Chibchayan, from the West Coast, Prince Rupert area. And her name is Shannon Thunderbird, and I've been working with her for the last 17 years, kind of as her Cabeus. It's a helper. Okay. I'm not Indigenous. I wasn't born Indigenous. Kind of obvious. Yeah, so she's like a big sister to me, and we work in schools all across Canada. We've been to Japan. We represented Canada for Expo in, 2005, I think it was, when it was in Japan. So we were part of the Indigenous sector for that, for Canada. We've been all through the United States, working in schools, trying to bring awareness to people of the Indigenous culture, because there's a lot of really incorrect stuff on the internet, especially, and through the history of books that were mostly written by non-Indigenous people that got it incorrect. So it's one of Shannon's passion is to bring the right, correct information forward so people have an understanding of Indigenous people in both the United States and Canada, because they don't see a border. Right. They just see North America, Turtle Island, as they call it.
I think I told you this story before, but I remember I told you when you were here in Canada, but you came up to me, we were doing a festival, I was with Helix at the time, and it was Teenage Head, Helix, and you guys, the Spoons. And you came in the dressing room and said, "Which one of you is Ricky Van Dyke?" And I went, "What?
Am I in trouble?
Why does the bass player know me from the Spoons? I don't know them, you know." And you said, my sister, and you said, my sister Teresa Van Dyke, McGregor. You said, "Do you know her?" And she walked, and then I said, "How do you know her?" And she walks the native path too. So my sister is right into all of that stuff as well. I just thought I'd mention that.
Very cool.
Yeah, we've done a lot of drumming circles and things together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now when we
great girl.
Yep.
Great voice too.
Yeah.
Are you playing any music either on Indigenous instruments, or is it incorporated into your music at all? How does that work?
Well, it's not incorporated into the Spoons music, but Shannon and I have put out 2 albums. We're currently working on a 3rd one of songs written together. So I'm actually incorporating the bass in with the native drum. Right. So maybe down the road you might be interested in having both Shannon and I on.
Oh, I would love that.
As a different thing. Maybe around the spring when the spring equinox, celebrating the birth of the spring.
Nice. I love it. It sounds like a spiritual musical thing. That sounds awesome. Now, is there anything you can play for us?
Well, the bass is a little difficult, a little lonely without, guitar or piano.
Sure.
But
Thank you for that.
I have taken up the native flute, and I often, when Shannon is speaking, I'll play in the background a little bit. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a background about the flute,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Great.
So this is a bear on here, but normally it would be like a bird or loon or something. But many of the native cultures, this is a Navajo flute, by the way, and it was gifted to me. So it's, and the way to play a flute or play an instrument or play a drum, it needs to be gifted to you, or you need to make it have the right medicine, as they call it.
Wow.
Okay, so back in the day, one of the stories go with the flute is that the men carried the flute. And the First Nations people are very connected to the spirit of Mother Earth, Father Sky, and that we're all one, and we're not above it. Humans are not above it. We're just part of it. And we've been given the liberty to have access to everything that Mother Earth can provide to us, but our rule is that we can only take what we need and leave the rest. But that's not really happening, is it? We need to do better, don't you think, fellas?
I agree. I concur.
Yeah.
Concurred.
So anyway, the flute was originally carried by the men. So if a young fellow was interested in a young lady, he wouldn't just go up to her and say, hey, you want to go on a date? He would go to her home, however she lived, a teepee, a wigwam, a plank house, a longhouse, and she would be inside, and he would come to her door, and he would play a song for her. And if she came out, then it would bear witness to the tribe that they would start dating and maybe get married.
Wow, it reminds me of the John Cusack movie with the
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what he played.
So what the First Nations people noticed with the loon is that's where the flute came from. Is that the loons mate for life? So that's the story for playing the song.
Right.
So and it's in a pentatonic minor scale. Most native flutes are. So it's very kind of loony-ish. So I'll just play you a little bit. Is that
Great.
okay?
Yeah, exciting.
Hopefully you can hear it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a
Oh,
note.
yeah.
See if you hear me or if I'm too loud or whatever. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Nice.
Wow, it feels so of the earth.
I just want to go on a date with you now.
You seduced him.
Yeah.
Well,
That's nice.
It sounds so like most Western musical instruments don't sound like something of the earth. That sounded like I might have just been walking out on the lake and sort of heard that happening. That is really, really cool.
Yeah. And so December, like everyone has their time of culture around this time, right? So starting in November all the way through January from nations around the world. For First Nations, December 21st is very important because it's the start of the winter solstice and Mother Earth is going to sleep, to have a big long sleep so that she can waken and rebirth in the spring. So they celebrate the 21st in their seasons of holidays.
Right.
A solstice.
Well, that is really interesting stuff, and I'm super glad I got to hear you play the flute. And I do hope you come back when we're out of lockdown and we can have you here on the back deck.
Yes.
Or if the vaccine works and we're all fine, we could actually do a proper show with you in the same room.
Hopefully.
Exactly. Now, if you were able to get Shannon to come along, I mean, we should do one with Gordon and I with the spoons as well.
We will do whatever
you
you want.
Get Shannon to come along, we can bring our hand drums and
that would
sing in
be awesome.
language.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
This has been a fantastic conversation. Where can people find your Xmas special? I know you said your YouTube channel, but what is your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
You know what? We'll find it, and we'll get a link, and we'll put it on there. It's not your job to know
We do the
that.
same.
All my techies.
Yeah.
That's not.
We do the same.
It's not your job to know that. What a pleasure to have you. Wow, Sandy Horn.
If you want to check out Shannon and I, you can go to shannonthunderbird.com.
Okay.
And if you want to check out Spoons and other YouTube stuff we've done and our product, you go to spoonsmusic.com.
Okay.
Find us there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been and is Sandy Horn of the legendary band The Spoons, who continues to make interesting and vital music. Great pleasure to have you, and we will be right back.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have, our community is filled with such talented and giving people. And around this time of year, we like to talk about the people who really contribute to the society that we have, our little community here. We have with us Alexander Quayle. He is a fantastic singer-songwriter. He's also a champion of singer-songwriters, period, and original music. And in Port Credit, the scene is basically, it's a lot of cover bands, almost exclusively. And Alexander Quayle said there needs to be a home for original music. He did original music in several of the venues. Mm-hmm. He is a supporter of people who are creating. We thank him for that. And we also thank him for the Bad Santa Toy Drive. This is the 6th year of the Bad Santa Toy Drive.
Excellent. Welcome,
Alexander Quayle. Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a very nice introduction. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Very good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Tell us before we get into what's happening now with the Bad Santa Toy Drive, how did it start and how did you dream up the idea?
It came around about 6 years ago. The good friends of ours, Freedom Train, Carl and the guys, we were talking about how cool they were and how good they sounded. And we're talking about stripped down, like an acoustic set, and we thought it'd be really unique to have them do an acoustic set for for this event around about Christmas. And so it tied in. It's like we could raise toys. And Carl and the guys were like, we're totally in for this. Rockin' Docs was the first establishment to help lend their space for it. We had a great night. It was a great success. Everybody had a lot of fun, and we raised a bunch of toys. And with that momentum, we just had to keep it going. And it's built, steadily over the last 5-6 years, and it's been great just for community spirit and bottom line, especially community spirit and supporting the local this year. But bottom line, at the end of the day, kids are getting, kids in needs are going to be getting toys, and it's especially this time of year. It's the kids on the fringe that don't have really any sort of choices in life. That it's nice to kind of open something up on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful sentiment. Now, many of us we've not been able to play. You, I, Rick, we all love to play. How's COVID been for you as a performer, not being able to get out there and ply your craft?
I'll be honest. It's been kind of tough in the sense that creatively, I always struggle with creative blocks here and there anyway. So it's been kind of cool to sort of concentrate even more on that creative block. But no, it's been good. It's been good to sort of work on, I guess, kind of work on myself and work on the kind of music, work on rewriting, and just always thinking of the next step, because we got to pivot right now. There's a lot of pivoting. So the online shows are helping. What you guys are doing honestly have got us through since whenever it started this year in 2020. Honestly, it's been incredible to have this every single week. Well, we don't see it. I haven't seen your face, Tom. I haven't seen your face, Rick. I haven't seen you on the Monday Night Jam. I haven't seen your faces, and it's tough. I would say out of all of it, obviously the struggles and everything else, but it's tough just not having friends on a day-to-day basis. The hugging, the get up and do a song and share this mic and blah blah blah, and that component of what we do. Man, that is the heart and soul of what we do, and it's missing desperately, and we need it back soon, very soon.
Now, if I could swing back to the toy drive for a second, it's obviously you are the kingpin and the creator of it. Can you mention some of the partners who are involved in making it the great event?
Of course, absolutely. Obviously, I got to mention Rockin' Docs because they were the first and foremost to help us out.
Rockin' Docs.
We had. We got State Bank Florist has always been there from the start. We got the Brogue Irish Pub, Cabin, Louis Cabin. The guy's an absolute mentor. He's one of the inspirations of why you kind of do this sort of things. The Feed, that was the first time this year. Wingporium, the guys over there, Christian and the guys. Shore Grill and Grotto. Of course, the boys at Spice Lounge and Tapas. And this year, first time is the Backroad Coffee Roasters. And of course, Studio Paint Bar. And I think I mentioned everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody. But you guys, everybody was so good. Everybody was really cool. It was kind of slapdash and a little rushed near the end because we weren't even sure if we were going to do it because of all the complications.
Right, sure.
But yeah, we powered through. We've managed to get all the logistics side stuff. So yeah, I think we're good.
Awesome.
Now I see you're sitting beside an open fire.
Alexander roasting by a fire.
I don't know what I just sang there, just a random low note. But will you, in your beautiful Santa hat beside your beautiful Christmas fire, give us a little bit of Christmas cheer? Will you play us a little Christmas number?
Okay, Merry Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes that glow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, toys in every store. And the prettiest thing you'll see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots, a pistol that shoots, a wish for Janice and Jen, a doll will talk, go for a walk, a hope for Bonnie and Ben, and Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree at the Grand Hotel, one at the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that'll make them ring is the carols that you sing from within your heart. Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
Excellent.
That was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so much.
a pillar of the community, a fantastic singer-songwriter, and a very festive man.
Very.
Thank you very much for joining us today. This has been and is Alexander Quayle. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't believe what happened. We just finished our interview with Alexander Quayle talking about what a great guy he is, and look what showed up
Wow.
at the door from Shore. Drinks and food. What a Christmas present, man. And look at you, legitimately Santa
Merry
Claus
Christmas.
right now. You're driving around picking up toys for the kids.
Thank you.
I gotta be there for airtime. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, you guys are honestly, guys, you're more than welcome. You guys have honestly entertained us for like the last few months. You've really got us through like a crazy time, and it's something to look forward to every Wednesday. So thank you so much, and thanks. That's to you
Cheers.
and the crew back there as well. I know whoever else all back there. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Thanks, Alex.
Take care,
Thanks,
Alex.
man.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Awesome.
It's hot.
Beautiful. This is going to be wonderful. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tom and Rick Show. We have a gentleman on the show right now who is, I suppose, it's funny because I've known you so long, but we would call him a record company veteran. Veteran executive.
Veteran?
Yes.
Executive.
His name is Brian Heatherman. He was the youngest head of A&R at MCA Records and MCA Publishing. He A&R'd bands such as the Tragically Hip, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, and Peter Gabriel, and has been an executive at Factor, Radio Star Maker, CCMAs, and the Music Managers Forum. Welcome, Brian. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us today.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Now,
good to be here.
Now, having been in the music business for as long as you have, at the levels you have, you've seen the changes happen through the years. Where do you see music now versus where it was then?
Yeah, I think it when I first started out, it used to change every 5 or 6 years. Now it changes every 5 or 6 days. So
right.
It's kind of, obviously there's a huge focus on all things digital, but having said that, sometimes everything old is new again. And obviously with the resurgence in vinyl, that's sort of, I just find it interesting. I have a son who's 12 years old, and, he seems more interested in vinyl than he is actually in digital, which is interesting. So I find a lot of the younger, like when I say younger, I mean that age, like 12 and 13 and that age seem to be kind of going back to the old stuff. But I mean, how it's changed in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's always been in the last 20 plus years, it's been easy for independent artists to sort of do their own thing. You don't need a label. You don't really need anybody. If you put together a great plan and you've got at least a minimal amount of funding, I think that's just sort of the way it's going. I mean, more and more. I mean, you almost don't need anybody at this point to help your career as long as you know what you're doing and as long as you make smart decisions.
Right. And in terms of the know what you're doing, I think everyone, not everyone, but a lot of artists, young artists, are sort of, I'll put my video on YouTube and I'll have a massive hit.
Yeah, no, that's not the way it works.
Right.
So you worked with a band, Dead South, that managed to have multiple million views on YouTube, which is sort of
200 million.
200 million views. So that's sort of the holy grail these days, is how many Instagram followers, how many YouTube views. How did you as a manager facilitate that happening?
Well, it's interesting because, in the case of that band, I mean, they had two things going for them really, or still do, I guess. They did build the crowd the old-fashioned way. They just played everywhere. I mean, when I first started working with them, they mostly only played Canada, and they played Germany a few times. So the band built on that. We built on that and had the band just play live. And in the minute the band played live, people reacted, people got into it, and it had a huge push to promote the band. But then, we did this video for In Hell You'll Be Good Company, or I'll Be Good Company, sorry. And it just one day, it just sort of, it clicked. I mean, we did a lot of the things that we do with a lot of other bands to promote the video, because we were also at that time the label for the band as well. So we did a number of the other things that we do when we're promoting a band on YouTube and various other social media platforms. But sometimes, I don't want to give away all our secrets. Sometimes sometimes luck is involved in it as well too, right?
Sure.
So, and we got it, with the help of a few other people, we got it to, I guess, a couple million views, which quite frankly, we were blown away by. And that really started increasing the sales really quickly. And more importantly, it once it got past that 10 million viewpoint, it started to break huge in the US. I mean, that record, that's the only, in my career, that's the only record that I've had in the top 10 on the Billboard charts in America.
Wow.
And that's like a massive feat, because, we were right up there with like Rihanna and Drake and whoever else was on there. I mean, it only stayed on the chart for a week and a half.
But
Doesn't matter.
But you were still indie at the time.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, on my label, I consider it an independent label.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had released the record everywhere in the world except Europe, where we had a partnership with a label called Devil Duck, and I believe the band still have their partnership with Devil Duck. And it's and it exploded after that.
Was the video like a high production, or like an actual video? It
wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap, right?
Yeah.
We used a proper production company for sure. And what's interesting, I guess, about the video, and I think it shows in the video, is that there was multiple locations. And I mean, when I say multiple, I mean like maybe 50 locations. So the video was done over a long period of time, over a few months. Mm-hmm. So ironically enough, when we shot the first video for the band for that record, we were also shooting the second video at the same time, some shots. So every time we would shoot or do something else, we would shoot more, and then we went out and did a full-on production. So yeah.
Right.
So videos do work.
So it was incredible. I mean, it broke the band.
Is that what you
broke the band worldwide?
So do you consider video then? Do you consider video the major tool now for breaking a band, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube?
I don't. I still don't. I mean, I never really did, and I don't now. I mean, I think that kind of situation is, I mean, you need the bare bones is you need a video. You need some kind of visual presentation, even if it's not a music video.
Yeah. Right.
Because if you're ever going to appear on any kind of media shows, whether it's your show or whatever shows are still on TV, where it's like a variety type nature or news related, they're going to want content to show of the band. Otherwise, they're probably not going to have you on. So you need some kind of visual content. But I mean, if you can make a video for a reasonable price, I'd say yeah. But I mean, that's probably one of the few bands I've had in my career that video actually broke.
Right.
I mean, it was just a thing unto its own. I mean, I think you depending on the kind of band you are, some bands break live,
right?
And some bands break through radio, and some bands break through visual,
right?
So sometimes it's a combination of all those things.
So you have this massive success, hundreds of millions, it blows my mind, hundreds of millions of views. How is that different than, say, someone saying to you, we've got this young band from LA called Guns N' Roses, and we want to break them? Because you were working with Guns N' Roses early in their career, am I correct?
Yeah, not as an A&R guy, but more as a promotional guy, for sure.
And how did you convince? Well, maybe they didn't need convincing, but how was that path? So we know this YouTube social media path. Tell us about that path. I guess that would have been late 80s, early 90s. Is that in and around?
Yeah,
then?
Late 80s, early 90s for sure. And so, I was representing the band in Canada through radio promotion and marketing and that. But, obviously we work closely with the US. And that was an example of, even before I worked for a record company, I think that band was touring already. So, the band was out on the road. I think they opened up for Billy Idol. They opened up for The Cult. They were just on the road constantly. So they got great tours. They were exposed to an audience, a much larger audience than they would have on their own. Obviously, they were part of that LA scene as well. Obviously, that sort of metal, whatever, like I guess the post-metal scene, if you will.
It was like metal Aerosmith.
Pre-grunge, post-metal.
Yeah, it was like metal Aerosmith when I heard it. Like heavy metal Aerosmith when I heard it first, and I just went like, oh great, everybody's got to sound like this. When they're the only ones that sound like that.
Right.
So everybody had to sound like that. When I was playing, it was like I can't. We can't.
Right. Now I don't want to be like old man, get off my lawn, but it seems to me that way of breaking. I'm going to play in clubs. We're going to open for bands. We're probably going to make no money, but we're going to have an amazing show, because without an amazing show, people are going to boo us off the stage as an opening act. I understand that, because it seems like an earned, grinding, hardworking way versus sort of, it broke on TikTok and then my IG page took off. Do you think that this new method of introducing people to music leads to an inferior product, or is that just me being old and crusty?
I think I wouldn't say you're 100% correct on that, but I think you're absolutely onto something. Let's be honest. Guns N' Roses, if they were breaking today, would not use TikTok. How would they do that? Unless they made TikTok videos where they're drunk and stumbling around and falling over and fighting, which would be interesting.
Right.
Their music and their show does not translate on TikTok, right?
Yeah, right.
But if you're like Ariana Grande or someone like that, or maybe a hip hop act where you're kind of a solo hip hop act, then you could go on and you could rap on TikTok and lay down some fat beats or whatever it is those guys do.
Right.
It's like
right.
It's really, I think it's a genre-based tool, right? Or maybe if you're a singer-songwriter, you can get on TikTok. And I think if you're a band these days, you've for video wise, Walk Off the Earth were a great example of a band that sort of, created their story before they even put out a record, really.
Right.
Yeah, super
making
talented.
those cool kind of cover videos.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
and that tool, YouTube.
No, I can't look at this list of artists, the Tragically Hip, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Peter Gabriel. I think our audience would be offended if I didn't ask you for a great rock and roll story of working with one of those bands.
Well, I'll give you one of my favorite stories. Since we talked about Guns N' Roses, without talking too much out of class. So one of the times we had Duff McKagan up for, now Duff is super clean now, totally healthy guy, in great condition, but 25, 30 years ago, he wasn't so much. And we had him up in town to do some interviews and some press and some in-stores and things like that. And after he pretty much ingested every possible chemical, alcohol you could possibly ingest in that 3 or 4 days. And so the last day he was doing an interview at Q107. They used to have the Rock Report, and they would always do live, so we would take artists there and do live stuff. So we go do the show, and he's been drinking and ingesting everything he possibly could in the last 4 days. And as we're leaving the station, we get in the elevator, and Q107 used to be the top of the tower, come down, elevator stops halfway before the ground floor, and some kid gets on and he's carrying a bag of donuts. And he quickly realizes that he's in an elevator with Duff McKagan, and he can't actually believe that it's happening. So Duff's like, "Hey man, what do you got in that bag?" And the kid's like, "A donut? Do you want one?" And he's like, "Man, I never touched that shit. It'll kill you."
Oh, that is awesome. Well, before we have to go, I would just like, because you know what you know, and we have so many young artists that watch this show, emerging artists, if you could give them a piece of advice. We're going into a new year. Hopefully, we'll start to put this pandemic behind us with the vaccines and so on. So all these artists starting with a clear slate, what piece of advice would you give them going forward to move forward in their careers?
I think to start, don't look to get signed to a record label. You probably don't even need a manager when you first start out, and don't even think about radio. I mean, when you first start out, just make the best music you possibly can. Do it yourself. Don't send, you can send demos around to different labels if you want, but the bottom line is, if you're doing something that's happening and exciting, people will come to you. And that's a much better position to be in than you going knocking on doors and begging people to work with you. Just do the best possible music you can, create the best possible image, and just, the best possible package that you can as an artist. Focus on that, get it out there, build fans, and, managers will come to you, labels will come to you, radio will come to you. It's much better to have those people coming knocking on your door than knocking on their door. So just go out and do it, and just be well organized and be passionate and sincere, and go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great advice. Brian, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I love this combination of Bowie and Christmas. These are two beautiful things. Have a great rest of your evening. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back.
Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Cheers.
Welcome back, my friends, here to a very festive, as you can tell by our toques, Tom and Rick show. We have a young woman on the show this evening. Her name is Judy Wilrich. She's a huge supporter of live music in Port Credit. A huge supporter of live music, period. So Judy is also a fantastic photographer, among many other things. And in the early days of the lockdown, she did something called the Isolation Series, where she went and took pictures of people in their homes from behind their windows, and put a beautiful musical soundtrack to it. We ran the whole whole video a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't get a chance to talk to Judy. So welcome, Judy. How are you doing?
I'm good, actually. Thank you.
Tell us about the Isolation Series and what inspired it, and how you came to deliver us that beautiful piece.
Well, you know, we were in lockdown in March, and then by the end of April, I was really like missing all my friends. So it started out as just a project to see how I could capture portraits behind glass. And so I came out and did my closest friends. And then I realized, this is really important for the community to see their friends. So I shared the images on Facebook. And then I found a song that I heard on Facebook by Peter Mueller. And it really worked with what I was trying to convey. So I got permission from Peter, and he actually lengthened it a bit so I could fit in as many people as I could. And I really enjoyed going out to see the people I haven't seen in months. And, it was very safe. I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch a doorknob or anything.
Glass.
Yeah, I mean, you were outside and they were inside,
Yeah,
so you couldn't have been safer.
Yeah, you couldn't have been safer.
Now you've done a second one, am I correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
So I just finished that one last week. And, I did so many portraits that I didn't have enough space in Peter Mueller's to put everybody in. So I looked for a second song, and Jeff Orson posted one that was called Faith. And I asked him if I could use it. And I met Jeff photographing him a few years back. So that's the second one. And it has a little bit more of a, getting closer to the norm.
Right.
People were outside their doors.
Right.
It's got hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some were outside their doors, and we were all hoping the businesses were going to come back.
Right, yes.
And so that's why it's called Faith, and that's the second isolation series.
Well, that is great, and we're going to put a little bit of that on at the end of the show, so stand by, everyone. Judy, I think it's a wonderful project.
Yes.
I think you did a great job at it. It's a full volunteer thing. You do it just for the love of community. So we thank you very much for being such a supporter of live music and for putting together this beautiful isolation series.
Well,
and
thank you.
Most importantly, Merry Christmas, Judy.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Judy Woolrich, and we will be right back.
Waited.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tom and Rick Show. Unfortunately, we could not have an episode of Cooking with Carson this evening because Carson has his hands full. Carson, what's going on?
There's the kids in the background.
Hey, guys. I'm home. All the kids are home from school. One of the elves made an appearance. This is why I love filming this show. I get a break from the noise. It's not that I need a break from my kids, but I just need, I do. They're all trying to climb around me, but I'm trying to avoid.
What can everyone look forward to in 2021 when you return?
Yes.
If I still have my sanity, lots of new recipes. I do have some time over the break. Guys, you're going to be really disappointed because today I was going to look. My son, he's dressed like Elsa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, love it.
He looks more like the tribal elder, but anyways. So you're going to be disappointed because today I was going to cook a full roasted turkey with all the trimmings, and I was going to give it to you guys to eat.
You're just teasing us now.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to do that, but I have a lot of great recipes. And including a great butter chicken recipe, some cinnamon buns, stuff like that. You're gonna love it, and things you can do with your leftover turkey. And it's just been such a fun year. This project, like I said, it's helped me, gave me something to do, and it's been really challenged me because there's one point where I did kind of consider going to culinary school full time. And I remember I was sitting in a Starbucks downtown considering that and thinking about it, and I got a call to play with Gino Vanelli, and I said, they keep drawing me back in. Oh, wait, I dropped a name over here. But anyways, that's how it works. You know, when we always kind of doubt ourselves, and we're always rebranding and shifting. And this show has been really great. And it's also, importantly, it's really connected us with a lot of people in the community. I really feel like when I go places now, I'm saying hi to the different people that have been on the show, and people even have recognized me from the show.
Well, we thank you for all of the deliciousness you've brought to us over these 27 weeks.
Yeah, 27 weeks, Carson.
Merry Christmas, Carson, to you and to the entire family. There they are, almost all of them.
There they are.
And ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back, and we'll be back next season with more Cooking with Carson. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas. Say Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you guys. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.